My name is Jaana Woodbury, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development for 90210 Recovery in Beverly Hills. Beyond that, I am a sober woman in recovery. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. Naturally, through being in the industry for so long, I've really grown to love advocacy work, and so I do things like go to Washington D.C. to stay on top of the policy reform regarding treatment, as well as advocate because of my story internally. Just with my family, I got sober with my husband, being a mother of 4 kids, kind of sharing like that family system component. I've also done a lot of advocacy work in terms of, while doing that, being connected with Sesame Street. And so that's a lot of information, but I do a lot. So that's kind of who I am in a nutshell.
Can you tell us a little bit about the work you've done with Sesame Street? Because I know they had a recent show where they talked about addiction.
Yeah, so essentially Sesame Street, there's a platform called Sesame in Communities, and it's their nonprofit side. Sesame Street as a whole is a nonprofit, but it's their initiative to really look at struggles within a household that a child might, go through, whether it's autism or in this case it's substance abuse, and how does one deal with parents being in active addiction as a child. And so it's essentially giving language to children through this platform.
So in the broadcast, what were some of the ideas and concepts that were covered as far as helping kids deal with parents dealing with addiction?
So a big concept is talking about big feelings. As children, when there's chaos within the household, they don't have the language to really identify what's happening. So very simply, identifying what is anger, what is sadness, what is happiness, and validating that it's okay if you feel mad. And so one of the series, it's actually a video series on YouTube in Spanish and English for children, but one of the videos is specific towards the big feelings, and then the other one is specific towards mindfulness and meditation and how to take that step back as a child.
I want to go back for a moment to your work in advocacy because, there's a lot of things people can feel passionate about. So I'm wondering how that connects, your work in advocacy connects to who you are in your life specifically. Like, what is it that you're trying to bring out in your advocacy work?
It's a really good question. I'm trying to bring a lot. Essentially, it's just bringing awareness to it. Addiction in general has a huge stigma. Being a woman in recovery, a mother in recovery, a lot of times we see that the female population in treatment is a lot smaller than the men, and you learn that women are typically the last ones to get help, whether it's because they're taking care of somebody or whatever the case is. Sometimes it's harder for them to step away, and so bringing awareness and advocating for those who don't have the education, the knowledge, the support. It's pretty cohesive with the family unit as well. Typically you see when one person gets well, the whole unit will rise, or they don't. And women, naturally being the mothers of children, it's important for them to get well because essentially it's the next generation that needs that generational healing. And it can be so powerful. And through my own experience as a mother, getting sober when my oldest daughter was 2, I've had to go through a lot of trials and tribulations. I essentially felt a lot of disconnection because there wasn't a platform or awareness to give me the language, to feel connected to something and a purpose. So I'm so passionate about advocacy in terms of that, and it kind of trickles into advocacy and treatment as well.
I agree with you. I think purpose is such an important element, especially people dealing with sobriety. I often say to people, after you're sober, what's next? And that's what you've been able to do is through your advocacy work, you're able to help people answer that question as to what could possibly be next. With the couple minutes we have left, are there any final thoughts you'd want to share with people that are listening to what you're doing right now and how you may want to inspire them?
First and foremost, I would tell anyone who's currently struggling that it's important to be realistic and come to terms with what sort of help you need. For me, initially getting sober, I had this ego and I felt like I had to, present or be a certain way because I was a mother for my child, essentially. But knowing that it's okay, that you're human, and we all have those struggles. And essentially, in my experience, pain is what has been the most connecting, binding factor in all of my relationships. It's the human connection. And so that's the biggest thing, is allow yourself to be human, and to get that support to get well.
I think that's so true about purpose, and embracing your pain, and through the pain, also finding your power. And through that power, being able to find that individual journey for yourself. I feel like the more people are connected to that journey and what it means for them, the greater the chances of staying sober, but also the greater the chances of having a passionate life. And that's what you've done. Every time you've talked right now, it's so obvious that you're so passionate about your advocacy work, and that would not have happened had you not been sober. So I want to thank you for that, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you.